All right, a quick end of day recap in ES. Let's start by breaking down the primary structure at play. So to really analyze this, we have to think about where is price coming from. Essentially what we're working with the past few days is a daily breakout, which started to trigger on Friday. You can see the structure here, bit of a range, month-long range. Price breaks out on Friday. Now, anytime you have a long consolidation like this, long in duration, meaning multiple weeks, or in this case, a month long, generally speaking, that rally, that breakout is going to have some legs unless it fails. Now, this breakout did not fail. And what do we get in response to that? Well, including this particular session, we have 5 consecutive days higher with some sellers starting to materialize now. You can see that sell bar there, a bit of exhaustion on the daily chart there with that shooting star candle. Now, this was a normal target to start to see some selling. We had that 49.25 area. If you take a look at the ES chart going way back, that 49.25 area, can tell how strong the resistance was in this zone previously, all through here. This 49.25 up into 49.50. So a massive resistance zone when we look left on the chart. The other thing to keep in mind, and what is a bit more important here, at least in my opinion, is the fact that price is now trading up into some of the fib extensions. So a lot of these fib extension levels will be used as targets by a lot of traders, especially considering the recent move that we had. Now, this may be a little bit difficult to see, so let me clear off some of these other levels so you can actually see what's going on here. Essentially, here's the breakout point, right? Price, you see a bit of exhaustion there, a bit of a rest on the past 2 sessions between that 127 fib and that 141 fib. Now, price breaks out of that 2-day consolidation, that 2-day little breather, and now we trade up into that 49.27, essentially that 49.30 zone, which is the 161 Fibonacci level. And that's going to be a prominent target for any type of breakout like this. So bit of a blip above, but that's pretty much the target on this initial run. The question now, let me bring my levels back. There we go. So the question now really is, all right, let's assume that, a lot of people potentially missed this breakout, right? Well, if buyers did in fact miss this breakout, now that we actually have some selling here, which again is healthy in my opinion, where are buyers going to be willing to step in to catch this move, to catch this potential next leg higher? And so the question is, is it going to be 4,900, very shallow pullback? Is it going to be this week's volume point of control down into 48.81? Or is price going to do a full retest of the prior breakout point down into 48.40? That's kind of the main scenario that I'll be looking to assess as we get into end of week. It is Wednesday right now. We still have 2 more trading days. So a lot can happen over the course of the next 2 trading days. Keep in mind, 48.40, it's about, we'll call it, a little less than 100 points away, which is just a 2 ATR move. So that is easily doable within 2 days. Now, what I'm going to be looking at more in the near term, like tomorrow morning, is how price trades versus this 4,900 area, right? This has been a significant level this week. You can see the action here on the 15-minute chart or the 30-minute chart, whatever it is you like to use for the near term. I want to see if buyers are even going to be attempting to step in versus these recent highs right through here. Are we going to see any buying through here? Or again, like I mentioned a moment ago, are they going to wait for some type of retest of that near-term volume point of control down into 48.82? And for this assessment, always going to be looking at not that intraday 1, 2 minute, 5 minute chart, really looking at how the 15-minute, how the 30-minute, how the hourly charts are developing. We want to see how price develops within the primary structure at play here. So main watch for tomorrow is going to be that reaction versus 4,900. Now we do have heavy hitter Tesla earnings after the bell, right? And Tesla is a mega cap name. It's definitely going to be market moving. I believe the implied move on this, let me double check. It's $15. So trading at about 205 right now. That'll at least put it outside of this near-term range, perhaps even below 200 if the reaction is negative. Now Tesla's coming into a big area here, prior support, prior resistance. We do have a high volume node down here, so that'll be kind of interesting to see the reaction here versus or rather in Tesla, and how it impacts the index. Tesla being a heavy hitter, don't forget that. So mega cap name going to have some impact on ES and NQ. Speaking of NQ, definitely a cleaner setup for today's action. Showed much better follow through in my opinion. The setup here is quite similar. It is quite similar to what we have in ES as far as the structure is concerned. We do have, again, just looking at the 15-minute, those lines are kind of crooked, but you get the point here. Near-term range, 2 days of consolidation following Friday's rally, right? Then we have that big overnight move, that overnight gap. The action intraday on NQ, let's have a look at it really quickly here. So initially we have, again, this is here, this blue area marks the open. So you initially have that pullback, right? Some solid action versus VWAP here, a higher low, and then pretty much a nice rally up into fresh session highs, a nice extension move there, pulls back into the open, pulls back into that pre-market high, right? Builds out a great structure for an active trader, and then fresh session highs again. Now the backside of today, the afternoon session, again, showing that exhaustion most definitely. And so what we want to see here, very similarly to ES, once again, is what I'm going to be leaning on is how price trades versus this 17,590 area. 17,600 zone. There's going to be a significant area in the near term, right? We want to see if there's going to be any buyers interested here. If not, you can probably look for 17,500 as kind of a first area where more buying interest may develop, maybe even that 17,468 where you can start to expect some buying. So very similar to ES, we're looking at this near-term range high or the near-term range volume point of control. So those are the two levels I'll be looking at for tomorrow's session. Now, as far as individual names, I mentioned Tesla already. That'll be a post-earnings watch. We did have that Netflix post-earnings watch today. This was an incredible play. If you trade the individual names, I had mentioned this in the pre-market prep live stream as a gap and go. Look at the action. Gap and go, baby. Pretty clean up into PT2. And then the afternoon, again, pretty similar to what we see in the index, just rolling over, right? And so what I want to see here tomorrow, I'll be treating this like a second day. We'll just be trading it versus this first day structure, depending on if it has any type of gap or not. So that's a second day play. And then we also have Boeing hit my scans this afternoon. Kind of interesting here versus the 200 MA. Showing some relative strength versus the index. Looks like based on this volatility, I'm going to go out on a limb and say there was some news in Boeing today, uptick in volume. So what I want to see is if buyers can continue to push this up through this near-term structure, the 216.9 area, call it 217, just round up. See if we can get some buying up through that zone for a potential daily reversal here. That's pretty much it for individual names, Boeing, Netflix, and Tesla. And then, of course, the index plays have been killer as of late. So we continue to focus on these index plays. ES, again, showing that exhaustion daily bar. Now, the question is, are buyers going to show any interest versus some of our other reference points? Hope you guys had a profitable day. Hope everyone had a great day, stayed safe in the action today. As always, if you have any questions about anything, you can shoot me a DM in the Traders Think Tank. I'll see you tomorrow morning for the pre-market prep live stream. Have a great afternoon.